What are the best physical therapy exercises for shoulder pain in CrossFitters and Olympic weightlifters? Number one, rotator cuff exercises that emphasize the infraspinatus and supraspinatus, like the dumbbell overhead press and 90-90 band external rotation. Number two, unstable overhead press variations, like a kettlebell bottoms up press. Number three, windmill variations. Number four, overhead carries. Number five, jerk recoveries. Number six, behind the neck press variations. Now, if you don't want to hear the rationale behind why I choose these exercises, that's fine. I created a whole article for you. The link is in the show notes. I go over all these exercises with demonstrations of how to perform them. You can check them out right now. I recommend going there anyway, even if you do listen to the rest of this video. All right. But now let's go over the rationale as to why I like these movements. So, rotator cuff exercises. So which ones did I choose, right? I like to choose a 90-90 band external rotation. I also like dumbbell overhead press, right? And I want to choose rotator cuff exercises that are going to mimic the specific demands of a given sport. So if you think about a jerk, when you're doing a jerk, you're pressing a weight overhead, you're locking it out overhead, and then you're lowering it back down to a front rack position. Sounds a lot like an overhead press to me, right? The only thing is that we utilize our lower body to get the barbell moving and we catch it in a locked out position, right? So that pressing portion is not as important. Being able to lock out that weight is incredibly important, right? Second part is that you can use your lower body to drive the weight overhead. You can't use your lower body as much to lower that back down into the front rack position. So usually the lowering portion of a jerk is a little tougher on the shoulder than pressing it overhead. And folks that have shoulder pain, they'll often tell me, hey, it hurts a ton when I lower barbells from overhead, but if I can just do a jerk and then drop the weight on the floor, my shoulder feels okay, right? So the movements that we want to choose from a rotator cuff perspective are ones that have high requirement of the supraspinatus and infraspinatus. That's simply because when we do a snatch, the turnover portion of the snatch, you utilize those muscles a lot. And when we're pressing a barbell overhead and lowering it back down, those muscles are also very, very active. So that's the reason why I chose a dumbbell overhead press and a band 90-90 external rotation. These are phenomenal exercises. Number two, unstable overhead press variations. Now, this is like a half kneeling kettlebell bottoms up overhead press. Now, these are phenomenal because they build a ton of stability overhead. You're pressing something overhead that's inherently a little bit unstable, right? When you're doing Olympic weightlifting, when you're snatching and when you're jerking, you don't always get the barbell in the perfect position every single time you finish the lift. Obviously, the goal is to get in the perfect position every time, but oftentimes we don't. So I feel like these exercises are phenomenal because they build a little extra insurance for the shoulder for reps that go wrong or don't land in that perfect position, right? It can help to improve the health of the shoulder in that locked out position, especially for reps going wrong. Number three, windmill variation. So this would be a standing windmill or something like a half kneel windmill. And one of the reasons why I really like these exercises is they're going to build strength and stability in the very end ranges of motion of the shoulder. And during a snatch in particular, you're really challenging the shoulder at its end range of abduction or flexion and oftentimes external rotation. Okay. So if we want to build some strength and stability of the shoulder joint in those positions, windmill exercises are phenomenal for that. Generally speaking, you're at the very end range of your motion, and you're going through kind of a precarious position. And just like those unstable bottoms up presses, they're going to build a little extra insurance into the shoulder so it can handle those forces for those reps going wrong. Number four, overhead carries. So arguably the most important part of the shoulder, the most challenging part for the shoulder is locking out a weight overhead. And this is going to be for the snatch as well as the jerk. So just being able to fully lock out the elbow, arm fully overhead, and catch that heavy, heavy load is extremely challenging for the shoulder. If we don't have the strength or capacity of the shoulder in that position, then sometimes the shoulder gets hurt, right? Olympic weightlifting is all about strength at lockout. So when we do an overhead carry, we're building strength, we're building stability in that fully locked out position, which is phenomenal for health of the shoulder. Number five, jerk recoveries. I love these exercises, right? So this is not something that I started using until a few years ago, and I had a couple great coaches that introduced me to these. One was Vanessa McCoy, a phenomenal Olympic weightlifting coach. And what she does is that she puts a barbell on jerk blocks, right? Or you can also set these up in a barbell rack with the J hooks up nice and high. And what you do is you set yourself up in your split jerk or push jerk position, right? In that catch position, arms fully locked out, weight on the bar, and then you just lift the barbell slightly up off of those J hooks, and then you finish your jerk, right? And what's great about this exercise is it's going to build tremendous strength and capacity at lockout. So in that split jerk position, you can even do it in a wide grip. So it's kind of mimicking the forces of a snatch when you catch a snatch, right? And the other thing that it's phenomenal for is that it's going to work on your technique, that catch position of a split jerk. A lot of folks have a hard time getting their feet in the right position, getting the right, knee bend on the backside trail leg, and working the split jerk recovery is great to slow down the movement a little bit, get into the positions you need to, and really hammer that technique. Lastly, the split jerk and push jerk recovery is a great confidence booster, right? So if we're not focused on all of the parts of Olympic lifts from the floor, right? So trying to get a good bar path, good triple extension, barbell close to your body, that's a lot to think about, right? Oftentimes we don't have the opportunity to think about locking that weight out overhead in a good position. So if we can get some good load on the bar and work some jerk recoveries, that's going to strengthen the shoulder joint for sure, but also going to build a little bit of confidence so that when we throw a weight overhead in a jerk or a snatch, we actually feel like we have the strength and stability in the shoulder joint to be able to catch that weight, right? So great exercise for that. Next, behind the neck press variations. So, I'm making a video about shoulder health and I am giving my athletes behind the neck press variations. And a lot of folks are going to see this and just say, this is stupid. Pressing behind the neck is bad for you. Well, A, I don't believe that. B, if you give this movement to an Olympic weightlifter, they're not going to blink their eyes. Okay. There's a lot of behind the neck press and jerk variation stuff, exercises, accessory exercises floating around the Olympic weightlifting world. They've been there for years and years and years, right? As an Olympic weightlifter, you need to build your end ranges, okay? If you don't have great strength, stability, and control in your end ranges, you're likely to get hurt. You're likely to miss your lifts. You're likely to have trouble building your lifts, right? Think about the bottom of a squat, right? We need to be super strong down there because you're basically throwing as much weight as possible into a front rack position, landing in a rock bottom squat. If you don't have a really robust bottom position of your squat, you're in some trouble. Same thing goes for the overhead position. You're throwing a weight overhead and catching it in a fully locked out position at the end range of the shoulder motion, right? If you don't have good stability there, you're going to be in some trouble. So the behind the neck press is phenomenal because it works your end ranges in a very specific position for snatches, overhead squats, right? Catching jerks. Just a phenomenal exercise to build all of that, okay? So if you're not an Olympic weightlifter, you probably don't need to do much behind the neck work. However, if you are an Olympic weightlifter, I really like this movement to help prepare you for your Olympic lifts. So here's what I want you to do next, guys. If you enjoyed this video so far, I have an entire course. It's free. It's called the Fitness Pain-Free Mini Course. And we go over 3 lessons going to help you take a lot of this information that we went over so far and put it into practice. The first lecture is called Why We Need a Better System. So first and foremost, the way we treat fitness individuals, all right, athletic people in the gym from a physical therapy perspective is pretty much broke, okay? So we need a better system to serve the folks that are in the gym that get hurt, they want to get back to training, all right? Lecture number 2 is called 7 Reasons Why People Get Hurt in the Gym. And essentially, we have to know the reasons why people get hurt in the gym so we can keep them safe in the future, right? And when they get hurt, we have to know why and how to get them back to training in the gym. Okay, so a thorough understanding of this is very, very important. I actually have a really cool infographic that goes along with this lecture that you get for free as well. And lastly, we go over a case study of how to get someone out of pain and back to training. So these principles are all phenomenal, but we don't actually put it together and you don't understand how to create a program to get people back in the gym and keep them safe for the long term, then we lose, right? So I'll put a link in the show notes for this. It's a Fitness Pain-Free Mini Course. Definitely check this out.